Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily. Today my favorite makeup is this. This is from Fenty Beauty. This is one of the new holiday 2018 lipsticks. This is a frosted metallic lipstick in the shade Cuffing Season. It's this really beautiful, like slightly glittery pink. It's just a lovely metallic look. And although I said I wasn't going to buy any more metallic lipsticks, I'm clearly a sucker because I bought both sets of the metallic lipsticks for Fenty, mostly because I had gift cards for my birthday. So I just love them. I think they're really beautiful, and I'm loving all the shades. I didn't think I wanted both sets, but after I bought the first set with the blue, I went back for this pink one, and I'm really super happy about it. Anyway, on to the video. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a review of these little guys. These are from Huda Beauty. These are the Emerald and the Sapphire Obsessions palettes. So first up, we're going to take a look at the Emerald palette. This is what this palette looks like. These retail for $27. They come with 9 shades and a tiny mirror. And the shades in the Emerald palette are all sort of shades of green with some brown in there. And then for the Sapphire Obsessions, it's mostly all blues, but it has this like one electric shade at the bottom here. Now, when I purchased these, it was a couple of weeks ago, and I have been trying them out because I sort of had mixed feelings about them when I first used them. And I had to sort of figure out what the optimal way to use these palettes was, at least for me. So I'm going to talk about this, but I'm going to do swatches of each of the palettes on my hands, and I'll be right back. So here you see the swatches. Along this is all of the shades in the Emerald palette, and this is all of the shades in the Sapphire palette. I kind of felt that there was an awful lot of green going on in the Sapphire palette, and the two palettes together actually work pretty well. You get a lot of options in there. To be honest, when I first picked up the green one, I was not super excited about the Emerald palette. I didn't think it was going to be as pretty in person when I actually put it on my face. I was a little disappointed in the way that the swatches were looking on my arm as I was testing them, so I wanted to give them a little bit of a try first before I immediately jumped to like a grumpy face about the whole situation. And I assumed that I was going to absolutely love the Sapphire one, that it was perfect for the shades I was looking for. I was going to be able to get really good cohesive looks. I have noticeably enjoyed the shimmers more than necessarily the mattes, and in these particular palettes I think the mattes are a little bit weaker than the shimmers, and I don't always feel that way even in the Obsessions palettes. I know my Electric Obsessions palette with all of the bright colors in that one, I feel like I could get good payoff with any of those shades. I didn't feel necessarily that the mattes in these were giving me that payoff. For example, this yellow shade in the Sapphire is incredibly difficult to get it to show up on me. It is very, very faint. It was very disappointing, and because that is the one light shade in that palette, otherwise you have a very deep, intense look if you use anything else, that was a huge disappointment to me. In the green palette, the sort of like the little minty shade, that does show up better for me, but again, that's the lightest shade of the mattes in the palette, and it's kind of difficult to work with as well. I do think that the Emerald palette does work better in that sense than the Sapphire does, which was very disappointing. So at least there's that, but overall I wasn't super enthusiastic about any of the mattes in these palettes. I think they're fine if you use them very sparingly, but the lighter colors don't really show up well on me, so I don't know how well they would show up on anybody else's skin tone, and I'm pretty pale and I'm barely getting any payoff on these. The shimmers, on the other hand, I do think that they show up very nicely. They last a long time. I continue to have shadow on for the whole day. I have worn them to the gym, and I have worn them to a fairly physical job just to see how they would wear. There is some fading. I wouldn't say that it looks exactly as beautiful as it did in the morning, but nothing usually ever does. But there is definitely still shadow on my face. It's sort of gone from like 100% of the look that I put on to about like a 75, which I think is pretty good. It's not outstanding, but it's fine. Now, if the two of these palettes have been combined together as a large palette and I was purchasing them that way, I'm pretty sure I'd be pretty pleased with the palettes, because overall I'm getting a lot of really interesting colors, and I'm getting blues and greens, which I don't always get in a palette. There's usually like 1 or 2 of those shades as opposed to 2 palettes devoted just to that sort of thing. So in terms of shade range, if this were one palette altogether, I would definitely encourage you to get it. If you're going to get one of the mini ones, I would be really careful and go swatch in stores to make sure that it's got the shades that you want. These two actually do pair together very well, but not everybody is going to buy both of them because some of the shades, there's a little bit of crossover between the two palettes. I mean, not exact obviously, but you can get a similar look. Some of the like brighter green in the Emerald palette is sort of echoed in the Sapphire palette, so it's not that different. So now I'm going to do a look using both of them. I'm going to take the Emerald palette first. I'm going to be doing that for most of the actual eye look. I just want to take a blue or two out of the Sapphire in order to give me just a little bit more depth. Not that I'm necessarily matching to my outfit, but I would like more blue tones in my makeup for today, especially when I'm using this lovely pink lipstick. So I've already primed my eyes with my Urban Decay Anti-Aging Eyeshadow Primer Potion, and I'm going to be going into the Emerald palette and I'm going to be taking that minty shade. Now this minty shade does tend to show up all right. I just have to sort of in order to get like the look I'm going for, I do have to sort of go back into the pan a couple of times. But it's not bad. It's definitely better than the other one, for example. Just that light yellow shade in the Sapphire palette is baffling to me. I don't know what they were going for there, especially because I know I have a shade like that, I think in an Anastasia. I think it's in my Subculture palette, and I love that color, but I guess it's just really hard to get it right because it doesn't always work, and it's not always going to give me the payoff I'm looking for. Alright, so now I've got that minty shade on. I'm going to take a little bit of this brown, and I'm just going to put that in the outer corner. Just going to find my other brush because it's hiding over here on my table. Now this is also one of the mattes, and again, I'm not super excited about the mattes, but I do feel that it helps sort of tone down things. This is a good toning shade. So now we're going to close this one up. I'm going to move over to the Sapphire palette. There are still shades in the Emerald palette I'm going to come back to, but first I want to go in with some of the blues. So while this top shade and this bottom shade do look the same, this is actually a glitter infused shadow, and very subtly, like it's very little, but this is actually a shimmer shadow on top. So I'm going to go with the shimmer shadow. I prefer it over the glitter infused. Not that the glitter infused is bad, but I'm going to have glitter on anyway. I don't need any more, but I'm just going to focus this towards the outside of the eye. This shade right now is behaving a little bit patchy. It's a little annoying, but unfortunately that's just the nature of the beast with this one. So I'm going to move on at this point, and I'm going to go in with one of the glitter shades. I'm actually going to take this silvery shade. It's got like a blue glitter to it, but I'm just going to do a little bit of patting in the center of the eye and blend that outward. I love these shimmers with the glitter in them. I think they make a beautiful eye look. It's just, once you put them on, they very much take over the whole thing. So they're great as like a topper. So I find that this palette kind of behaves like my Rihanna Galaxy palette. It's beautiful, but it's like a palette full of toppers. So if you use too many of them, they sort of blend together and become nothing. If you use one of them, they look beautiful. But do you need a whole palette full of toppers? Especially if I already own a whole palette full of toppers, which I do. So right now I've got this lovely sort of like gentle blue going on, and it's a very gentle wash of glitter on top of it. It's kind of hard to build this up without it getting kind of patchy. Alright, so right now I'm going to put on my eyeliner, which is my Kat Von D tattoo liner. I'm going to put that on, and then I'm going to pat a shade on top of it. I find that's the easiest way for me to get that eyeliner look by putting it on top of one of these. The really glitter infused shadows often will get just a little bit of fallout, but this one is behaving particularly poorly today, so I guess it's good that this is the shade I picked for filming, because now you know what you're going to get yourself into. I'm going to go back into the Emerald Obsessions. I'm going to take this nice deep coppery shade. I'm going to just put that over part of this black eyeliner just to sort of lighten it a little bit, but maintaining like the foily look I'm going for. This sort of matches the glitter. And for mascara today, I'm going to go with my Sephora Lashcraft. This is the big volume. I actually lost this in my bag for a couple of days, and I couldn't figure out where it had gone. It was at the very bottom of my backpack. I guess it had fallen out. I do really like this mascara. And as a substitute, I had been using the Dior Show mascara, which isn't bad, but it has a scent to it. It's got this sort of like old lady rose smell to it. I don't know why you would bother putting perfume in a mascara. It's going near my eyes. There's definitely a scent in it, and if anybody disagrees with me, you know, then should I throw this out then? Because it definitely smells, it has this rose smell that I sort of associate with like higher end makeup because they want it to smell nice. I don't know why they put fragrance in a mascara. It makes no sense. It's not a bad mascara, but it's also not particularly exciting. But because it was a sample, you know, I'm going to continue to use it. But I just don't get it. I really don't. So there you are. This is my finished look. Overall, how I feel about these palettes. I'm not sorry to have purchased them. I did purchase them during one of the Sephora sales, so I did get them fairly inexpensively. I also used a gift card to buy them, and I like them. I do like several of the shades in each of the palettes. I like a little over half of each of the palettes. If I strongly liked, you know, 12 shades out of an 18 shade palette, I would think that that was awesome and I would feel good about it. If these two palettes were one, I would be super down. Because they are separate and I don't love all of the shades in each palette and they're pretty tiny, and if you're only liking about half, that's a little bit more difficult. They're not that different in the grand scheme of things. I think the Emerald one is a pretty cohesive palette. It just, you know, it's not necessarily, I wish it was more green as opposed to brown and gold. There's a lot of brown and gold in this as opposed to green. But it's still a good palette, it's very nice. Whereas the Sapphire is mostly blue, but the blues are kind of difficult to work with, and they don't look that different from each other when they're actually on your face. So overall, you know, I am happy to have them, but that's the caveat I'm going to give you there. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content on this channel, please subscribe. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I will see you all soon. Bye!